Hey guys, so today we're going to be making a few little essentials to go with your sewing machine, which will just jazz it up a bit and make your little area look a bit pretty. I've watched loads of videos of these on YouTube. I'll link a couple below which I took these ideas from, and yeah, they were really good tutorials. Obviously I'm hoping that you stick around for this one, but if you want to know where I got it from, then I'll link them down below. But they were quite a few years old, so that's why I thought that I would do one myself, just so that you guys have a more recent version to follow. So we're going to be making a mat for the sewing machine to go on. I'll insert a photo of the one that I've made, hopefully, in this corner so that you know what I'm on about. So basically it will have your sewing machine on it and you fill it with this, I think it's called wadding, and I've got quite a big piece here. And yeah, you just put that in it and obviously sew it all together, and then on the front of it you have little pockets to put things like scissors, pins, little clips, because I have quite a few things on my desk which would be quite good if it was in a little pocket in front of me, so I don't have to reach for things mid sewing. So that's the first thing. And then we're also going to make a scraps bag. I saw these yesterday at like 2 AM when I was watching all these videos and getting obsessed, because I only got my machine on Thursday and then I set it up. I made a bag, which I have down here, and then yesterday I made two things, and yesterday is Saturday, so yeah, today I'm trying to make some more stuff. So I only got it recently, so that's why I'm making all these little bits for it. But yes, we are going to get right into the video now because I've been rambling for way too long. So we're going to be starting with the scrap bag and the little pin cushion that will go on the edge of your desk. So yeah, let's get right into it. So all you need is 4 pieces of fabric. 2 of them can be the same depending on what pattern you would like. So for the bag, I've already pressed these, so I'm not going to completely open them, but I have this like succulent print. And obviously if you've got a print, then make sure it's the right way up when you're cutting it, so that this one is reversible in terms of like that way and that way, so it doesn't matter which way I sew it. However, if you've got I don't know, something that only can be upright, I've seen people with like sewing machines, then obviously you don't want it upside down, so make sure you check that. So I've got 2 of these in different patterns. So I've got this one, and they just need to be 9 inches by 16 inches. So that's the other pattern that I've got. And that is for the inner of the bag, and then this is for the outside. So yes, 9 by 16 inches, and obviously the 16 needs to be the right way up. Then we've got the hinge, which I've done in the same fabric as the inner of the bag, so it matches, which is this. And this is 7 by 4 inches. And then I've got the pin cushion, which I've done in this fabric, and this is 7 by 8 inches. So those are the 4 pieces that you need, and we're just going to get started. So we're going to start with the hinge, which I've already pressed and turned inside out. So you just need to fold it in half along the 8-inch edge, so that you've now got a 4 by 4.5 inch. And then we're just going to sew around 2 of the sides and then leave this bottom one free. Because I've pressed it, I'm not going to pin it because it's already to the edge. So we've now sewn 2 of the 3 sides. I'm just going to tie these up and then we'll be turning it inside out. So we're just going to turn the hinge inside out and get that to the right shape. So this is what it should look like, and then you are going to pin it halfway in between here. So then we are going to fold this piece over, and then we are going to sew across that edge. So fold that over so it's in half, and then just get a pin So I've just pinned that along there. So as you can see, the piece is in there. So we're just going to sew along one of the sides and then down the bottom. So just turn this inside out once you've tied off all the edges. So you just need to fold this edge in very slightly and then sew on the top of there, just to close up that edge. So I'm just going to be folding that in like so. I've just folded that over and then we're just going to sew along that edge. I'm just going to put one pin in it. Doesn't need a lot of pins because it's pretty much going to stay in anyway. There we go, just to... And then we're just going to go across that edge, go as close as you can to the edge just so that it's the least noticeable. So make sure that you leave a little gap. So as you can see, there's a little gap there which will fit a funnel in to funnel. I've seen people using various different things to fill the pincushion. This is the hinge, but I've seen people fill it with rice, crushed walnut shells. You can fill it with sand. I'm probably going to do it with rice, just so that it's heavy enough, or maybe stones, like little gravel stones, just so that it's heavy enough to sit on the edge of your desk. So yeah, so we've done that, we've left that gap, and then now we're going to start on the bag. So my camera died, so I'm now going to be working off my phone, but I have sewn the edges of the what people call ears, and now we're just going to be cutting the excess off, so this excess little triangle. So just do a starting cut and then I can...
Because the tapeworm can hold rabies apparently. So within 5 days...
And then just with the other side.
You have to get him wormed at a vet's and get him book stamped inside.
There we go. So we're going to turn this the right side out, and then that just allows it to stand up, as you can see. I'm not going to be putting any boning in mine just because I don't have it at home, and with everything that's going on with COVID-19 I don't really think that it's an essential thing to be going out and getting boning. It does hold quite well, as you can see, like once that is tacked onto the hinge that we've got, as so. It's holding its circular shape pretty well. People use it to keep it round, but yeah, I'm happy with it. So we're going to be making another one of these with the inner. So I've got it here. So we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'll just time lapse it. I won't sort of talk you through it the same, just so that you can see that I've done it. And then yes, then we will be attaching the bags all together with the hinge, and yeah, exciting, it's nearly done. So now that I have made both of my bags, this is the inner and this is the outside, I have attached my hinge. So here is the seam, so you just, I'm going to do roughly because I'm not too fussed about measurements, so yeah, roughly in the centre of the seam. So as you can see, I've just put a pin in it, and then we're going to sew that. And then once that's attached, we're then going to go on to the inner. So I'm just going to quickly do a stitch along here. So now that is all attached, I'm just going to tie that off at the edges, and then we will move on to the inner. Right, so this is all done, so we're going to be putting in our inner bag. So you want to match this seam with the seam on the outer bag. So I'm just going to put that inside there. and hopefully it all fits correctly. So I'm going to match that up there. And then we're going to be sewing all the way round. Again, if you're using boning, then you'll need to do 2 seams. So you will do a seam around right at the top. As you can see, I'll be going sort of similar to where I've already sewn. And then you would do another one about 1/2 inch down, and then you would leave a gap here so that you can insert the boning, and then you would sew up that gap. But I'm not using boning, so I will just be sewing about, what is it, maybe a centimetre from the edge all the way round, just so that the inner bag is secure. Right, so we are done. This is what the finished product looks like. This will be filled with rice. I will go and do that now, and then I'll do a little shot of what it looks like finished. All you need to do is, once you've filled it up using this little gap here and a funnel, then you just need to sew that shut, and that is pretty much it. And then it will just hang on the edge of my desk, which I'm really excited about. So that's done. Yeah, as I said, I will insert a little clip of me once it's done. And now we're moving on to the mat. This seems a lot easier. So yeah, I will explain it all. My mum made one. There's loads of them on YouTube. So yeah, I got my tutorial basically from her. So yeah. And if you want to go and check out her channel, she actually does all craft stuff, and yeah, I'll link it below, but it's called My Craft Room. So yeah, she does all craft stuff, and she actually did this mat that I will be doing now. So we're going to put that to one side, and then we're going to move on to the mat. So we are moving on to the mat. So I've got everything prepped ready. I'm going to have to measure these pieces because I've used fat quarters, and because I have a piece of the wadding, I know how big I want it, so I haven't sort of measured it out and gone, this is how big it is. It is 20 inches by 15 inches, and that is the wadding and the first layer. I haven't bothered ironing it, which might be a mistake, but I thought that I would iron it afterwards, just because I'm trying to get it done. But I have pinned it quite tightly so that it doesn't ripple or anything, so I put pins in there. And basically what you do is you pin the outside layer that is going on the top, so you pin that down, and then you want to go along and pin your other layer. So this will be for the base, and this matches the inside of my bag, which is why I've done it. So you just put that facing inside out like so. So that's the inside of it. So I'm just going to pin this down as well, and what you do is you sew all the way around and leave a little gap, and because you're sewing it inside out, you would then pull it through. So I've cut both of these the same size, which is the 20 inches by 15, and I'm just going to sew around the edges, and then I will turn it inside out and sew up the edge, and that will be the mat done. And then we will go on to the little pocket section at the front. So that's all pinned, as you can see. So we've got 2 layers on there, so I'm going to sew all the way around and then leave a little gap for the pulling through. So I'm just going to start with that now. So that's all sewn. I've left a little gap here, so we're just going to pull that through now. Hopefully it's not too difficult. The wadding is really like flimsy, so it's quite easy to bend. Right, so that is the finished mat, and this is the back. So I've just pinned this corner, and I'm just going to sew that shut. Again, sew really close to the edge because it is a closing stitch, so you don't want it to be too obvious. So I'm just going to go and do that now. And that's the mat section done, and then we're going to move on to the pocket. So for the area with the pockets, I'm using this pink fabric. So this is the backing, and then I've got this section to go on the front like so, and then you'll be sewing lines. So you sew around the edge of this extra piece. So you sew around the edges and leave the top open, you just do a little hem, and then you will be sewing lines down here to create the sections. I'm probably going to do maybe 2 small sections and then 2 bigger ones, but we'll see, I'll show you as I go. I am going to cut that to 19. So it is 19 inches width, and it is 18 inches long. So that is full length that way, and then you will be folding it in half. You want to fold it in half with the inside pointing outwards so that you can sew the seams around the edge. So we're doing the same pretty much with the mat. We're going to sew these 2 edges at the sides, and then what you're going to do with this top one is it's going to be inside out, and you're going to sew it to the mat, and then when you turn it round there will be a seam closing that, so you don't actually need to close this top bit, but we're going to sew it inside out and then we'll turn it the right way round before we sew it to the mat. So this is the front section done. I've just turned it back to the right side out, and as you can see the top isn't finished stitched. Then we're going to be adding on the pocket section. So this is currently too long, so I'm just going to trim that and then I will measure it up for you. So the section that I've done is 15.5 wide and 5.5 down. So I'm going to start by hemming the top so that that's done, and then I'm going to move around to the sides, which I will show you. So I have sewn the 2 sides, as you can see. The bottom, I've just pinned the bottom because you can do it inside out. So what I did is I sewed one side, so I pinned it backwards like that. Try and use a bit of fabric to explain. I pinned it backwards like so, sewed down that side, then I went like this, pinned the other side the same way, like so, and then I turned the fabric inside out. So it ends up looking like this. Because I've pinned the bottom, you can't really do it the same, but I couldn't sew that bottom edge the same way, I don't think. It just didn't look like it was going to work. I sewed the 2 sides whilst it was in this sort of position, and then I turned it back round. So I'm just going to sew along the bottom because I think that'll be the easiest way. So I'm literally just going to sew along this edge which I've pinned, and then I'm just going to sew lines to make the pockets. So then I will just be sewing lines up here, so just pick how big you want the pockets. But I'm just going to sew along this edge now. So I've finished creating the pockets. As you can see, there's one here, then I've got a slightly bigger one there, and then I've got a large pocket here because I thought that I can have things like scissors in there which will fit. So yeah, it just depends on you, but I really wanted to be able to put these scissors in there because I always put them somewhere like behind me on my desk and then I forget they're there. So we have the last bit and then we're done. So what we're going to be doing is we've got the mat here which we have finished, and then you are going to get your pockets, and then you're just going to pin them right along the edge, and you want to sew as close as possible to that edge. And well, you're going to put it along the seam, so I'm going to put it not on here, I'm going to put it on this side, and then what happens is when you turn it over, the seam will be hidden. So if your thing is slightly shorter, which mine is either side, just by a touch, then make sure that you make it centered. So I'm going to put you up here so that you can see, but I'm just going to be sewing as close as I can get to the edge.
Wow, I'm very impressed. I think you've done really well, sweetie.
These were my first things. So I made the bandana and the little jacket for Cleo, but these are the first things that I've made without a pattern.
These are excellent. Oh, that's lovely fabric.
And then this
well.
is a little, it's like a desk tidy. People have been putting boning in it, but I did it without, and it seems to be, yeah. And I've just got rice in here, but people use walnut, like crushed walnuts, sand, there's all sorts. But I didn't think you needed the boning because it's
fine.
And I did the hinge the same colour as the inside, so it all matches.
It's lovely, and it's all lined, so no nasty edges.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very proud of you.
I did get confused, but I didn't want to ask you because I wanted to on my own.
Yeah.
But how you did the bottom one, I did that, and then I did that, and I turned it inside out. But you couldn't do this side inside out.
Because with mine, I put that on the edge.
Ah.
You've done it as a separate thing.
Yeah.
So
I thought I'd save a bit of fabric.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Because I didn't need as big of a pocket.
Yeah.
But I've got one big pocket and then two little ones, and then I've just got the main bit. You can also, if you wanted an ironing pad, my mum made one of these as an ironing pad. You just don't attach the pocket, so you use the same wadding and then the same technique to do both sides. Yeah, but then you can use it as a little ironing pad. I'm planning to maybe get myself a little travel iron.
It's good for pressing as you're going along.
Yeah, well, I didn't do that with that, but I thought because it didn't need to be folded or anything, I thought I would just do it without. But because it's sort of iron proof, I can now iron that if I wanted to get the creases out, which I will. But yes, so the desk is looking more personalised now from afar. I definitely think these are two essentials that everyone needs for their little sewing table. That's what I've called it. 2 sewing essentials, easy makes. But yes, so I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.